When were you last hypnotized? Not on a stage, not with a therapist. At home, in the evening, in front of a screen, or in the morning, when you opened your phone before you had even left your bed. Hypnosis is not a swinging watch and a deep voice saying, "Sleep." Hypnosis is any state in which the subconscious takes over and accepts information without a conscious filter. And that state, most of us enter every single day, deliberately, systematically, by forces that understand the mechanism far better than we do. I know this because I saw it with my own eyes, not in a laboratory, in the world. During the pandemic of 2020, and only then did I understand what had happened to me 30 years before. Today I will show you the mechanism, the same trick used by every system of control in recorded history. And what happens when you finally see it? It was early 2020. Like many others, I was watching footage online before the word coronavirus had reached most people. People collapsing in the streets, breathless, hopeless. The terror coming through those screens was contagious, not just like a virus, like a wave of fear that embedded itself deeper with every passing day. It took me too. I had 3 bottles of hand sanitizer, one in the car, one in the bathroom, one in the kitchen. Every time I came back from a shop, I cleaned my hands, sometimes 10 times a day. I thought I was keeping danger away. Then I got ill anyway. And that was when I started to doubt, not just the protective measures, the whole story. I found myself at home, no work, no schedule. For the first time in a long time, alone with the silence and a single thought. Something here is not right. I spent days and nights at the computer, first the mainstream channels. Then, when I noticed content disappearing, content that did not fit the approved narrative, I went deeper. Independent portals, doctors risking their careers to speak, and I began to see the mechanism. When the pandemic began, the daily news transformed overnight. The opening music, more tense. The images, higher contrast. The virus filling the screen. The presenter's voice, as though reporting from a war zone. Today, a record 28 deaths. The virus is approaching your homes. Stay home. You are saving lives. Every day. At the same time, the same structure, the same rhythm, the same emotional frequency. Anxiety, dread, helplessness. I began watching consciously, not to believe, but to observe how the program was being installed in people. And I recognized patterns, the rhythm of sentences, the use of color, repeating phrases like mantras, "Trust the experts, only together can we succeed, stay home." All of it aimed not at telling you something, at making you feel something. And once you had felt that feeling enough times, it became your inner voice. That was when I understood. This is not information. This is an operation. And that was when I finally understood what had happened to me in April 1991. The same mechanism, only reversed. The pandemic created fear and inserted suggestions of submission into it. In 1991, I was in fear and deliberately inserted love into it. The same door, a different key, a completely different result. Let me explain how hypnosis actually works, not the stage version, the real one. Hypnosis is any state in which the subconscious takes over and accepts information without a conscious filter. You experience states like this every single day. When you are driving and cannot remember how you got home. When you are reading and suddenly realize you have no idea where you were. When the television news carries you out of your own reality and into its version of facts. All of these are hypnotic states, and in every one of them, the subconscious is recording, without judgment. Now comes the essential thing to understand. The trick of hypnosis, the same trick every time throughout all of history, is simple. First, you create a state of emotional tension, fear, shock, anger, despair. When a person is in that state, the door is open. The defensive mechanism of the conscious mind softens, the rational filter steps aside, and then, when the door is open, you insert the message. This is the foundation of hypnosis, and it is the foundation of every system of control that has ever existed. Religions, first the fear of hell, then obey us. Wartime propagandists, first the shock of the attack, then support the invasion. The media today, first fear, then trust us. Nothing has changed, only the stage has grown larger. The evidence that psychology has documented. Under hypnosis, a person can feel no pain during surgery, without anesthetic, documented in medical journals since the 19th century. In one experiment, a hypnotized person was told that a piece of metal would burn their hand. The researcher touched them with an ordinary pen. The skin responded, with a blister. This is not placebo. This is a direct write to the hard drive. And Stanley Milgram showed in 1961 that with the right suggestion, authority plus transferred responsibility, ordinary people would cause suffering to others without hesitation, without formal hypnosis, but with every single one of its elements. Collective hypnosis does not need a hypnotist with a swinging watch. It only needs emotional shock, repetition, and authority. And the pandemic of 2020 was a textbook example of all three. But hypnosis is not only pandemics, not only media. The entire arc of human development is a field of programming. Parents program children, school programs obedience, religion programs truth, media programs perception, politics programs values, advertising programs lack and desire. And if you understand this, you feel something uncomfortable. Your life may have been until now somebody else's program, not yours. The program of those who shaped you. I am not speaking about a conspiracy. I am speaking about a pattern that repeats across every generation, every culture, every system. Parents are not bad because they programmed you. They were programmed themselves. Teachers are not bad. They were part of the system. The media are not necessarily consciously malicious. They operate according to a logic the system built. But the result is the same. A frightened person seeks authority, and what they hear when they are frightened stays. Your average day is already a hypnosis session. The news in the morning, the evening bulletin, the algorithm that knows what you fear before you do, advertisements between every thought, and the subconscious recording all of it, without judgment, without filter, without asking your permission, because that is not its function. It only receives. Every repetition, every emotional charge, every authoritative voice, every image designed to make you feel small. And gradually, you no longer know what is yours and what is the program. This is what the book I wrote is about. Not the theory of this, the way out. But here is the good news. The same mechanism the system uses for control works in the opposite direction. When you understand how hypnosis works, you cannot be hypnotized in the same way. Not completely, not unconsciously. When you have seen the trick loses its power. I experienced this myself. When during the pandemic I began watching the news consciously, not to believe it, but to observe it, the spell dissolved. I saw the rhythm, the colors, the repetition, the emotional charge, and in that moment of awareness, I was no longer the viewer being hypnotized. I was the observer who could see the mechanism. How to approach this practically? Know what you believe. Write down 10 statements you most often make about the world, about money, about people, about yourself, and then ask, where did I learn this? In whose voice do I hear this? Not with judgment, with curiosity. And then, decide who your subconscious will trust from now on. Not television, not algorithms, not authority the system has endorsed. Yourself, your own inner sense of what is true. Every thought of love you send from the heart is a new code in the subconscious. Every moment of silence in which you do not automatically believe what you are told is a liberation. The subconscious is not your enemy. It is only a loyal executor. And if you do not program it yourself, someone else will. The pandemic gave me a gift, not the virus, not the fear, not the isolation, It gave me a key. When I watched mass hypnosis working on millions, I finally understood, looking back, what had happened to me in 1991. Fear had literally opened me. And into that open space, instead of a suggestion of submission, I had inserted love. The same door, a different key. This is what the book is about. E=H times L², not as philosophy, as a protocol for anyone willing to look honestly inside. The link is below. And the next time you feel the pull of a screen in the dark, the news, the algorithm, the voice that tells you what to fear, pause for 1 second and ask, is this my mind or my program?